In Africa, a Cold War is unfolding. Nations are invading each other through proxy militia groups rather than direct confrontation. At the heart of this conflict are Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Both sides claim the other is set on bringing down their government. Rwanda accuses the Democratic Republic of Congo of working with the Force Démocratique de Libération du Rwanda (FDLR). The rebel group's stated aim is to overthrow the Rwandan government. For its part, the Congo accuses Rwanda of violating its sovereignty by supporting the Mouvement du 23 Mars. The rebel group, along with multiple others, is active in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The two countries share a border of about 217 kilometers. To fully understand the roots of this enmity, let's take a look back in history. Tensions between the two nations date back to the 1994 genocide in Rwanda. By the early 1990s, Rwanda, a small country with an overwhelmingly agricultural economy, had one of the highest population densities in Africa. About 85% of its population was Hutu. The rest were Tutsi, along with a small number of Twa, a pygmy group who were the original inhabitants of Rwanda. Part of German East Africa from 1897 to 1918, Rwanda became a Belgian trusteeship under a League of Nations mandate after the First World War, along with neighboring Burundi. Rwanda's colonial period, during which the ruling Belgians favored the minority Tutsis over the Hutus, exacerbated the tendency of the few to oppress the many, creating a legacy of tension that exploded into violence even before Rwanda gained its independence. A Hutu revolution in 1959 forced as many as 330,000 Tutsis to flee the country, making them an even smaller minority. By early 1961, victorious Hutus had forced Rwanda's Tutsi monarch into exile and declared the country a republic. After a United Nations referendum that same year, Belgium officially granted independence to Rwanda in July 1962. Ethnically motivated violence continued in the years following independence. In 1973, a military group installed Major General Juvenal Habyarimana, a moderate Hutu, in power. The sole leader of the Rwandan government for the next 2 decades, Habyarimana founded a new political party, the National Revolutionary Movement for Development. In 1990, a Tutsi rebel group known as Rwandan Patriotic Front (RPF) invaded the country from its Ugandan base. Habyarimana accused Tutsi residents of being the rebels' accomplices and arrested hundreds of them. Between 1990 and 1993, government officials directed massacres of the Tutsis, killing hundreds. A ceasefire in these hostilities led to negotiations between the government and the RPF in 1992. In August 1993, Habyarimana signed an agreement in Arusha, Tanzania, calling for the creation of a transition government that would include the rebel Tutsis. This power-sharing agreement angered Hutu extremists who would soon take swift and horrible action to prevent it. On April 6, 1994, a plane carrying Habyarimana and Burundi's president Cyprien Ntaryamira was shot down over the capital city of Kigali, leaving no survivors. It has never been conclusively determined who the culprits were. Some have blamed Hutu extremists, while others blamed leaders of the RPF. Within an hour of the plane crash, the Presidential Guard, together with members of the Rwandan Armed Forces and Hutu militia groups, set up roadblocks and barricades and began slaughtering Tutsis. Within 3 months, some 800,000 people had been slaughtered, and civil war raged alongside the genocide. Tutsi forces later emerged victorious and gained control over most of the country, including the capital, Kigali. In response, more than 2 million people, mostly Hutus, fled Rwanda, crowding into refugee camps in the Congo, then called Zaire, and other neighboring countries. Tension rose between local Congolese tribes, Rwandan immigrants who fled the 1994 war, Hutu militias who fled Kagame's rule to refugee camps in eastern DRC began to regroup to restore a Hutu government in Kigali. They launched attacks on Rwanda and also killed Tutsis inside the Congo. In response, Rwanda started to arm Tutsi militias inside the DRC. Across the DRC, many Congolese were resentful of Mobutu's corrupt rule. Rebel groups seeking to overthrow him emerged, including the Alliance of Democratic Force for the Liberation of Congo (AFDL), led by Laurent Desire Kabila. Rwanda, which accused Mobutu of harboring Hutu perpetrators of genocide, armed the rebels and sent in Rwandan troops in 1996. To extend their influence, the Tutsi-dominated AFDL in Kivu and troops of the Rwandan army launched offensives in eastern DRC, sparking the First Congo War. Uganda, Eritrea, Angola and Burundi, all Rwandan allies, joined the war. The AFDL seized power in 1997, ending the fighting, and Kabila declared himself president of the DRC. But the Rwandan troops allegedly massacred Hutu populations, forcefully repatriated Tutsis, and took control of lucrative diamond and coltan mines in the resource-rich eastern region bordering Rwanda. After his climb to power, Kabila fell out with Kagame and started to unceremoniously force out Rwanda and other foreign troops still in the DRC. This alarmed ethnic Tutsis living in Congo and reignited tensions with local tribes. In response, Rwanda backed a new rebel group, which launched a revolt in August 1998 and started the Second Congo War. Even after the genocide began and evidence of mass killings became undeniable, the international community ignored the magnitude of the catastrophe. The United States actively prevented the United Nations from taking a leading role by voting against deploying a robust UN peacekeeping mission in Rwanda. It is clear that hatred among deeply divided people caused one of the worst atrocities in the history of mankind. But Western states and institutions during and after colonial period, by interfering in Rwandan society, laid the foundation for the catastrophe.